Well, if you're watching this video, then you are a member of the Virtual Game Design Club. So welcome to the club. It's a virtual club because, as you can see, we are not meeting face to face. And if I sound tired, it's because it's 6:30 in the morning as I'm recording this. That's really the advantage of a virtual club. We can meet this way whenever we get a chance. And if mine is in the morning and your only chance to meet is after school, we can still accomplish something. So I want to tell you what I want to do in the club. My number one goal in the club is to help you make games. I assume if you signed up that you want to make games. You must like games. Maybe you've made them before or you want to learn how to make them. That's the goal. I want to make games. And to talk about what type of games, I should start out by saying board and card games are what we will look at. A lot of people play computer games, obviously, and I didn't want to tackle that right away because to make a computer game, you have to learn how to make games and then you have to learn how to program computers. You have to do both. If you learn to make board and card games first, you can do that without having to program. You can get started a lot faster. Now, when I say board and card games, a lot of people think of these kind of games that they have seen at maybe Myers or Walmart. Maybe your grandma bought you these when you were a kid. These games are okay, but there are a lot better games out there nowadays. People are making a lot of new games that you might not have heard of. Here are a few from my collection. I have a few hundred games like this, and when people see them, they say they didn't even know these games existed. But they do. There are many. Here are some more. Some of these are my son's. And these four I picked out just to show you an example. Notice on these that next to each one of the names of the game, there is a name of a person, and that is the game designer. It's very common now in modern games for the designer's name to be on the box. And the reason I mention that is because if you want to be a game designer, it is a great time to be a game designer. You get a lot more respect. Those games like you see in Walmart, they don't have the name of the designer on there. In the old days, the designer didn't get credit, but nowadays it's very common to get credit. And not only that, it is easier to get them out to the world. So if we make games in this club, I want to show you how to at least make this type of game. This is an example of a print and play game. They call it print and play because you can put it up on the internet as a file. People print it out and they play it. It is a great way to share your games and to find out that people all over the world are enjoying them. There are also sites like this. This is called the Game Crafter, and I've used the Game Crafter to make games. This will make a nice copy of the game that you could play with your family and friends. And then maybe you've heard of Kickstarter. Kickstarter is a way to get your ideas out there, maybe any kind of idea, not just games. Here is somebody that made a game called Exploding Kittens, and you notice that they made over $8 million, almost $9 million on Kickstarter when they tried to sell that game. So that's not very common, but it is possible that you could make a lot of money on games nowadays. It's a very good time to be a board and card game designer. Here are some games that I have made that got out to the world in one way or another. Some of them sold thousands of copies around the world, like these two at the top, and some of these I just published on my own and I sold a few copies. So it just depends on how good the game is and how you want to get it out to the world. I've also made some computer games. These are educational games that I made, and I put these on my blog. I also do creativity games and other games that teachers use in their classes. If we make games in this club, I'm going to promote them through my blog, and you could promote them in other ways too. I started an organization many years ago called Protospiel. Me and some friends and I did this, and this is where game designers get together and play each other's games. Some of the people that I met through this have sold thousands and thousands of copies all over the world, and they've made a lot of money. So I do have some experience. Some of those friends that I met will probably help us out in the club. So before we get too far along here, I just want to talk about step one on how to make games. And this is my philosophy of making games. The very first thing that you need to do is to learn to play many games. You need to learn to play as many as possible. If we were meeting face to face, I would have some games and we would learn them right now. It's going to be a little tricky to learn to play games when we're not together face to face, but I have some ideas, and that's what will come along in this classroom in the days to come. But first, there's going to be some discussion questions. I'll have those posted, and you can answer those just so we can get to know each other a little bit.